Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Wednesday, July the 9th, 2014. Israel's Operation Protective Edge entered its second day today. The military operation is aimed at ending the onslaught of rocket fire from Gaza into Israel. Today alone, over 50 rockets were fired into Israel, some reaching as far as south of Haifa. At least 2 rockets fell just north of Zichron Yaakov, part of the Chof HaCarmel Regional Council, about 22 miles south of Haifa, the farthest reaching rockets yet. Rockets were also fired near the Jerusalem area, landing just outside the city last night, and rockets were also fired above Tel Aviv. According to the military, missiles were intercepted above the city and above Ben Gurion International Airport by the Iron Dome missile defense system last night, and the Iron Dome also intercepted a rocket over the Tel Aviv metropolitan area just this afternoon. Israel's Air Force has been hitting back at Hamas targets in Gaza in response to the ongoing rockets, including at terror tunnels, rocket launch sites, and homes of Hamas commanders that have been used as control centers. Yesterday, the IDF intercepted a Hamas commando unit that was attempting to infiltrate Israel from the sea at the Zikim beach, just north of the Gaza Strip. The IDF unit shot and killed the 5 terrorists. 1 IDF soldier was lightly wounded in that incident. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said we are all united in the mission to hit the terrorists and restore calm. He said the operation will expand and continue until the rocket fire on our cities stops and quiet returns. The United States condemned the rocket fire into Israel. U.S. State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki.
Well, we strongly condemn the continuing rocket fire into Israel and the deliberate targeting of civilians by terrorist organizations in Gaza. No country can accept rocket fire aimed at civilians, and we certainly support Israel's right to defend itself against these attacks.
Psaki added that Secretary of State John Kerry and State Department, quote, teams on the ground have reiterated to members of both sides the need to de-escalate tensions on the ground. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon also condemned the Gaza rocket attacks on civilians in Israel and urged restraint on all sides. Israeli ambassador to the UN Ron Prosor, meanwhile, sent a letter to Ban and to the president of the UN Security Council calling on them to denounce Hamas, who is behind the rocket attacks. Prosor wrote on Monday the council must publicly denounce terrorism and call on PA President Mahmoud Abbas to dissolve the Fatah-Hamas unity government before the situation further deteriorates. Prosor said that over the weekend, Israel offered Hamas a ceasefire and in return got even more rockets. He said Israel will not tolerate this aggression. And Jewish organizations here in the U.S. also urged Abbas to end his recent reconciliation with Hamas and expressed their solidarity with the people of Israel. B'nai B'rith International said the international community must demand the Palestinian Authority, now in partnership with Hamas in a new government, denounce Hamas and break all ties with the terror group. Anti-Defamation League leaders National Chair Barry Curtis Lusher and National Director Abe Foxman called on the international community to show its support for Israel as the country is under attack. They said too often we hear diplomats call for restraint on all sides. Such messages, they said, are inaccurate and hypocritical. The only message is that Hamas and its affiliates must stop the rocket attacks, period. Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, Chairman Robert Sugarman and Executive Vice Chairman Malcolm Hoenlein urged support as well and said, we pray for the safety and security of every individual, of every soldier and civilian put in harm's way, and for the government which carries such tremendous responsibilities. They said to Israel, we are one with you. The National Council of Young Israel said no civilized country would stand idly by as over 1 million of its citizens were forced to flee to bomb shelters amidst a salvo of rockets targeting civilians in violation of international law. Jewish Council for Public Affairs President Rabbi Steve Guto called Operation Protective Edge an absolutely legitimate act of self-defense. He said no person or family should have to live in fear of the next rocket landing on their house, on their school, or on their market. And World Jewish Congress President Ronald Lauder said Israelis know that world Jewry stands side by side with them as work to beat back the explosive assault aimed at their cities and civilians by the terror regime, which has vowed repeatedly to destroy the Jewish state. Lauder said they have no choice but to defend their homeland and protect their citizens from enemy fire, as any sovereign nation must do. And turning now to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Wednesday, July the 9th. Coming up after the news, the premiere of the new Shalom TV program, Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. At 8 o'clock tonight, international economic law scholar and founder and president of the Global Center for Economic Development and Security, Ephraim Chalamish, talks about the role of global markets in the national security of the U.S. and of Israel at the annual general meeting of the American Jewish Committee. That's from the Center of Jewish Life at the Westchester Reform Temple in Mamaroneck, New York. That's tonight here on Shalom TV and shalomtv.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Wednesday, July the 9th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader.